Welcome to the Huddle Within podcast, where we go beyond the surface to uncover the real impact of sports on our lives, whether it's lessons of resilience, the passion that fuels us, or the stories that connect us all. This is where the game gets personal. I am Daniel, a regular sports fan just like you, and together we'll explore what sports truly means beyond the surface. So step right into the huddle and let's get into it. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. Thank you to all of you, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's on your drive home, whether it is at home, or whether it's a drive to work. I really appreciate you jumping onto the pod today. I've got a lot to get through on this episode. I really enjoyed last week's episode on sporting news, so we're going to continue that front load and update you all on the latest sporting news at the moment. So, as I said, lots of sports to cover. At the time of this recording, the most recent news that has occurred is the Ballon d'Or. So, congratulations to Ousmane Dembele. He is the 2025 Ballon d'Or winner. An incredible season for PSG, winning a treble, scoring, I think it's 38 plus goals or something, and multiple assists, multiple trophies, and yeah, I would say thoroughly deserved. I had a rough bet on Pedri to win it. Now, he was paying like $17, so I thought I'd jump on for a $5 cheeky bet. Thought they'd probably replicate what happened with Rodri and give a midfielder the award. Turns out, no, they actually gave it to, you could say, the right person in Ousmane Dembele. And yeah, he takes out the Ballon d'Or. Liverpool fans won't be too happy. Salah had an incredible season. You could say that he was probably the biggest snub. And then you had Lamine Yamal, 17 years of age, coming in at second. I think tied with Buffon. So, not Buffon. Why would I say Buffon? Tied with Donnarumma. They're basically practically the same player, aren't they? But those two round up the runners-up awards, which I guess makes sense in terms of Donnarumma, given that he was at PSG, but Yamal at 17 years of age, I think he's 18 now, getting second in the Ballon d'Or, that's scary. I think that's probably the youngest polled vote ever. I don't know if Messi or Ronaldo even got near it when they were that age. So to have Yamal come in second for the Ballon d'Or is quite amazing. And yeah, it looks like he's going to win multiple in the future. We're looking at probably the next best player in him as well, if he decides to focus on football and not on external affairs, which is something that has been reputable before. But Ousmane Dembele starts this off with a Ballon d'Or win, and yeah, you can say that it's the well-deserved and not the worst news. But if we're going to go to the opposite end, there was also another reward, best player for another sport, and that is, as everyone knows here, the AFL. For those that are international speakers, Australian football rules, or people from other parts of the world that don't know the sport, we also had our Ballon d'Or equivalent. We call it the Brownlow Medal. And fuck me, man. Oh, they did it again, these umpires. They've figured out a way to just rig and fuck up the system once again. Matty Rowell takes the Brownlow. I'm pretty sure Noah Anderson was ahead of him for more votes in terms of like the bookies and favourites. He was definitely a top 5-10 candidate, but no one would have expected Matty Rowell to get near the Brownlow, yet alone poll 43, or I think it was 40 something votes. It might have been 39. I don't even fucking know. I crashed out towards the end, but basically Matty Rowell has taken out the Brownlow medal, and he has once again overtaken Dacos, who once again gets snubbed. Oh, Dacos cannot win a Brownlow. I don't understand. I do not understand. Okay, maybe it wasn't his best year, but you'd think this year, after 2 years of sure things, that he was going to win it. Maybe not Cripps, because we don't want to talk about that. That Brownlow was a joke. How Cripps can get a second Brownlow with the most ever polled votes is just ridiculous. And this just goes to show how shit the system is when it comes to voting. You're relying on umpires that can't even fucking umpire properly to vote on these players. It's ridiculous. I'm going to bring up some stats just to tell you how ridiculous this is on votes that Matty Rowell got. So for one game, he had 17 disposals, 8 clangers, which means the ball doesn't even come out cleanly from his foot or hand, 2 marks, and got 3 Brownlow votes. That was round 4 against Adelaide. Then, against Sydney, he got 16 disposals, 10 clangers, 0 marks, 3 Brownlow votes. There was a game where Nick Dacos got 42 disposals and 1 goal, and he only got 1 Brownlow vote. There were games where I think they got flogged by 50 points and Matty Rowell was still polling votes. Like, I don't understand. The only justification that I have for it is if the umpires are just testing the eye, and Matty Rowell definitely passes the eye test in terms of his ball pressure, his clearances, and his tackling. I can understand from that front. There was one game where he also got, I'm pretty sure, 2 or 3 votes against Essendon, where he only got 15 disposals, but he did get 17 tackles. So I gave a bit of leeway for that one, but still, I just don't understand how Dacos is not here sitting as a Brownlow winner. And you could tell it hurt him. Just ridiculous. Like, Matty Rowell, grass-eating cunt, winning the Brownlow. Nah, I shouldn't say that. He's a good bloke, but it's not his fault. It's just, wow. Like, I've got no reactions to that besides negative ones because the umpire should not have a say in voting. They've clearly proven this for the last 3-4 years. You had the year that Ollie Wines won it over Bont, and now Dacos getting robbed again is probably going to be, besides Bont, the greatest player to never win a Brownlow. Like, the only way Dacos wins it next year is if Collingwood are just shit, and they probably will be, and we'll talk about them soon, and he just carries us. Like, it's the only way it makes sense to me. I have no words for the Brownlow. I have no reactions. Well, I have many words, but just, I don't know what to say. I don't know how they got this one wrong once again. So that was really frustrating to watch. And it came to a point where I just didn't feel like watching the Brownlow again. I already came off the prelim loss to Brisbane and thinking maybe we'll get some compensation with Dacos winning a Brownlow. Clearly not. So again, all credit to Matt Rowell. I will say that as much as he probably didn't deserve it, if you're winning a Brownlow, it's good on you and congratulations, and you'll take it all day. And quite frankly, he is a superstar player. Like, that is something that I can say with confidence that Matty Rowell is a certified gun. He's a bull. He's a machine. And I would much prefer him winning a Brownlow than someone like Paddy Cripps that last year didn't deserve it and still managed to get nearly 20 votes this season. So, yeah, the umpires, just get them off the Brownlow voting, like, as soon as possible. That would just be wonderful because they have got no idea, clearly. They got no clue. And I don't even know the rationale behind it. I say the eye test, but, like, no idea. No idea at all. All right, we'll move on. We'll get past that and we'll move on to AFL. We'll continue on that train. We obviously had the prelim finals. We had Hawks taking on Geelong. Geelong getting a very statement victory, or massive victory, at the MCG. Around 98,000 there on a Friday night. Unbelievable game to have for a first prelim. You have the Hawks that were flying, doing an immense job, making a deep run to the prelim despite being 8th on the ladder. They take on Geelong, and they started really good. They looked like they were going to give Geelong a game, but it seemed like Geelong didn't hit 4th gear until the last quarter, or even halfway through the third, and just kicked away. And yeah, Geelong are a well-oiled machine at the moment. I mean, you're talking 18 or so prelims or years, and like 16 prelims. It's just incredible. Something along the lines of that. They just make prelims every year. Like, they're just so good, and they're short penciled into it to win the granny, especially given that they've already got Brisbane's number. And yeah, watch out for Geelong. Paddy Dangerfield, the stuff that he's doing at his age is just simply incredible. He turned it up once again on the big stage. Yeah, he's a machine, and they're just well oiled. Like, they've got solid taggers everywhere in those Irish lads, O'Connor and Mullen. They've got beasts everywhere. You've got Bailey Smith, Max Holmes carrying the midfield, Ollie Dempsey on the wing. That's just an elite wild card, and Jezza up front, and Dangerfield. Like, it's just elite. And Geelong will always somehow be up there with one of the best clubs in the AFL, the way they're going and just the way they are. And you can talk about it in the sense that they're probably the only countryside outside of Victoria, so that makes them a very attractive destination for country footy players. But at the same time, when you have the club like that, it's just always going to run well, and it's just been proven since, as far as I could remember, as far as growing up, I've always just seen Geelong up there. So they make the grand final, and they're going to be taking on the Brisbane Lions, who defeated my Collingwood Magpies, and got to say, they outplayed us, and despite some questionable umpiring, despite you could make an argument that that was front-on contact from Starcevic on Jamie Elliott. Oh, mind you, how good was that Specky? One massive positive there. That if that was in the season, that could have been an easily Mark of the Year contender. That was simply incredible. And watching that live was just wow. But yeah, the Pies couldn't get it done. It looked like we were doomed from the start when Pendlebury came off. It was a big blow mentally for the team. And I guess if Elliott gets that free kick, knocks it in, we're down by 6 and we have a chance to sort of win the game. But 2 minutes later, Charlie Cameron turns around and scores to make it an 18-point lead for Brisbane. So, yeah, I got to give it to Brisbane. They turned up. They were the better team on the day. And although Collingwood looked lively in terms of our pressure, our ball work and skill wasn't up to it and just wasn't able to manage the game. And it's shattering because we know that Geelong has Brisbane's number right now. I guess Brisbane could change and turn up a bit better. I suppose that they won't be the same as last time they versed, but it would have been great to see Collingwood Geelong. But again, I say that, but at the same time, I feel okay about the loss only because I still think Geelong would have bet us, especially if we just scraped through Brisbane. And I think I don't know what happened to the Pies. Like, we were so excited for this year. We had a crazy run. We looked like the team to beat. We looked unstoppable. And then we had that 5-game losing streak or like 5 losses in 6 games. And it just went to shit from there. And like beating Adelaide was good. But then when you saw Hawks beat them, you were thinking, are we really that good or just Adelaide aren't up to it? And yeah, all got proven in that prelim where Brisbane just rocked up and outplayed us. And again, fair play to Brisbane. 3 grand finals in a row. That's quite impressive. And with them getting potentially Oscar Allen next year, well, that's pretty much confirmed, and Sam Draper, they're not slowing down as well. So they're going to be very scary for a long time. And as for the Pies, I think the window's closing fast. Like, we've got a lot of old age players. Myercheck looks to be out the door. Bobby Hill's situation is just, yeah, we're gonna have to. As fans, I feel like we deserve to know what's going on there with Bobby, whether he leaves or not. That needs to be addressed, I think. But Myercheck out the door. I think Tom Mitchell will call quits on his career. And I think the only positive for next year is we are getting McGuan. So I heard he's been elite, but he is going to take time to become a player that will help us down the line. But I guess when you have the Dacosses, if you have Sidebottom and Pendlebury, you'll somehow be up there. So that's the only limelight I have. But it's going to be very hard for me to believe that Collingwood will be competing for a premiership next year. But again, have to wait and see. Next now is just looking forward to the grand final. And I'm going to predict Geelong to win this one. It will be a much closer game, though. I don't think Brisbane will get smashed like last game. The umpires did them a favour, try to keep them in the game because Geelong will all over them. But I think that Brisbane will come back firing and with way more confidence. And that will be a very exciting game to watch. You have 2 of the last grand finalists from 2022 and 2024. So teams that have been up there for a while. You've got Brisbane looking to go back to back, and you've got Geelong that are looking like the prime favourites at the moment. So, yeah, that's exciting, but I am going to go Geelong just on the basis of what I saw last game and what I've seen this finals run. And, yeah, I would say Geelong by 15 points is what I'm gonna predict there. But, yeah, that's been the AFL wrap-up. In terms of acquisitions, I'm hearing Buku Kamirs, shout out Sebet, and shout out Amhom, mates with those guys, is looking to make a move to Carlton. So that could be something that will be very interesting there if he does make a move. In terms of player movements, there hasn't been too many updates since probably the ones from 2-3 weeks ago that probably everyone knows. So we'll have to keep in eyes for that. What should we do next? Maybe we'll go with the EPL today. So the EPL results, we had the derby between Liverpool and Everton, 2-1 to Liverpool. They came off the gates firing Etikite. And I saw this stat that I think he scored 5 goals or 4 goals in his first 5 games. And the list that did that for Liverpool, the first people to do that was very exclusive. You had Sturridge, you had Torres, you had Suarez on there. So elite company for Etikite to put that record out there. And he's proving to be a machine for them. In terms of the other two signings, Florian Wirtz especially, he's becoming a meme right now. 007, no goals, no assists, 7 games, which can be frustrating on the stat front, but any Liverpool fan will go out their way to defend him and say that his performance on the pitch has been good. Kind of like Matt Rowell with the eye test. There's no stats to back it, but apparently he's been playing good. I can't say I've watched too many Liverpool games to back this argument, but I will say, despite seeing it and being funny and all the sort of criticism that we've copped from Liverpool fans for signings that flopped, it's good to see that Wirtz is not going off to the start that that was probably expected from him given his price tag. But then again, I think he's a quality player, and I think eventually that will work out. It's not something that Liverpool fans should be too worried about, but at the same time, if it does come to a point where he's having this drought for 15 or 20 games, that's when you can start getting concerned there. You've got Ishak, who's failed to score a goal yet, but I think he's going to take time to come into the system, and he's going to be a machine. It's going to be very interesting to see how him and Ekitike will work together, because they're both strikers, and Ekitike is playing well. Like you can't drop him. So that will be something interesting. And again, they continue just to get results. Another 90th minute in the Champions League to beat Atletico Madrid, a Virgil van Dijk unbelievable header. And they just keep strolling away undefeated. I'm pretty sure they're like 6 points clear of the table if I get my table up. And they're in a really good position. 5 points clear from Arsenal. So Liverpool looking very strong. We also have my team, Manchester United. Well, before that, actually, I will talk about Everton. They're looking good. They're having a decent season so far. They were out the game the first half, but the second half they came out firing. And the signings of Dewsbury Hall and Jackie G have been a revelation for them. And Jai is a freak, and their midfield is quite solid. So David Moyes is doing a great job for Everton. I think that they will be up there in hopefully the 10th to 12th range for their sake. If they can go higher, that'd be great. But it's just great to see Everton sort of back to form and back to a place where they're not just scraping staying up in the Premier League and fighting relegation. So that's awesome to see. We then had, my team, United. Finally, they got a victory. They fucking won a game. Red card helped, I'll admit. 2 goals in the first half. And then the referee decided that he wanted to do a make-up call for them and try and make the game even by giving Casemiro a second yellow. Yes, he may have gone out the back, but I feel like he completely got the ball and didn't even look like a dangerous tackle in my opinion. But I guess when you're on 1 yellow, you shouldn't be going into tackles like that. We win the game though. Although there was a bit of scare with Chalobah scoring a header in the 70th so minute. The red card definitely helped us. I question Maresca's tactics for taking off both Estavo and Neto in the 7th or 8th minute and keeping Cole Palmer on. Like, if Cole Palmer is injured and he's trying to go through the game, then why wouldn't you use him as one of the subs in that moment? And what impressed me about this is that Maresca did say, and this is about on a United front, it's not on a Chelsea front, is that United attack with 5. The fact that Maresca had to swap his wingers out to be careful and be precautious of the way we attack, to me, that's actually a good thing. Like, we're Manchester United, we're meant to be a struggling club. Obviously, we have 1 extra man, but if we didn't have Casemiro off, we could have smacked Chelsea easily. And I like the idea that people were worried about our system. Like, Maresca is worried about the system. We got so many fans that want to change our system, that are Amaroon now, this, blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter is, we've brought Amaroon in. He's had success with this system, and I fucking back it. If we're going to play 3 at the back, we need the players. We need a stable midfield, I agree. But it's a good system. Like, it works. Maybe not in the Prem, but it will work. You need to give it time. The team is not good enough. We haven't got the players. We've signed attackers, which is great, but we still have structurally issues, especially in the midfield, because it's not stable enough. And when Casemiro, albeit to him, a great professional, right out of his contract, gets out the club, and all that money we save, we'll be in a good place. And we're just tearing shit down. We've got rid of all the bad players that have been, I guess, oversigned by or overpaid. They're all on loan right now, or they've been sold. You've got Garnacho, who's gone, and he didn't even get a game on the pitch today, which was just hilarious. So, like,
I think we're in a good place. I have no complaints about what Amarim's doing at the moment. I understand that it's a results-based business and we need to get results, but today that's what we did. We didn't perform amazing. We should have closed the game out in the first half, most definitely, but we got the result. And we got the result against a tough Chelsea side as well, who have won a Conference League and have won a Club World Cup. So can't really complain about it. Is this the turning point for us? I'm still going to say no because I've seen it that many times where we've defeated a top six team and just come back and lost the next day. We've got Brentford next week, I think away from home. We have to win that game. It's a must win. But again, I have no confidence that we're going to improve. But again, this result is great and it's a good way to kickstart our season. Hopefully it turns around, but I can't have confidence in it because I've seen it that many times where we've done this. But we are on the same points as Manchester City, and that's the team I'm going to be talking about next. They go 1-1 to Arsenal. The game of the round, obviously not in terms of probably the game itself, but in terms of just like the preview and the two teams. Obviously, a win for one of these teams would have made the gap between Liverpool a lot shorter or a lot smaller, and I think from a neutral's perspective, you would have wanted Arsenal to creep up and do that, but they end up salvaging a draw from an unbelievable finish from Martinelli in the 93rd minute. And what a ball from Eze to play from a 10 position or even a deep line 6 to play that ball over the top straight to Martinelli on his weak foot to chip Donnarumma, who, man, what a signing he's been so far. He's been very good. And I know that one, you can question whether he should have came off his line or not. He's an elite keeper and he's just got a presence about him that's just going to make it very hard for teams to score against. But yeah, Martinelli scores 1-1. Before that, you had Haaland scoring to Gianni Reinders getting an assist. What a player to Gianni Reinders is. I'm such a big fan of his game. Hate to say that about a City player, but it's the reality. The game, I guess Man City, man, like they parked the bus essentially. And everyone's been criticizing Arteta on how Arsenal has played. And there was a big contrast in this game. Arsenal had control of pretty much the whole match. They had almost 65% possession and they probably deserve to win this one. And a draw is a justified result given that Man City defended hard. And it's crazy to say that a Pep Guardiola team played like Jose Mourinho. And that's exactly what happened. In his press conference, he did say he didn't want to play like this again and hopes not to do it. But the way that City's team is with all the injuries they have, and let's be honest, the team isn't as strong as it once was. I do expect City to play like this more often to try get results. And they're on the same points as us. Yeah, they beat us 3-0, whatever. We can put that in the bin. At the end of the day, Arsenal outplayed them. And if City want to win a title, they need to get back to where they are. The only thing that I guess a lot of City fans will say, shout out to Joe, is that the season starts in Christmas. And that's when Manchester City start peppering and getting results and start turning stuff around. But when you have Liverpool, who are just unbelievable at the moment, Arsenal, who are just competing and they're starting to get better every year, they've got arguably the best squad in the Premier League, given all their depth. It's very hard to make a case for City to really compete for the title. And I think it might be a case where, yeah, they end up just scraping top four and it's just a two team race once again for the title, where I think in the end of the day, Liverpool is just gonna win it. I think everyone has that sort of inkling and feeling. So yeah, that's the Premier League stuff. I guess with the Champions League, covered the Atletico result, Man City getting a victory, Arsenal getting a victory. No European football for Chelsea, and I'm pretty sure there was some Carabao Cup games today. I haven't had a chance to look at them, but I'm pretty sure Liverpool would have made quick work of it. I'm going to check it right now in case that there is an upset live on the podcast, just so we can make sure we're covering everything. It's tomorrow, so lucky that tomorrow Southampton take on Liverpool in the third round of the EFL Cup. Shout out to Grimsby Town. They beat us. They're still in there. They might have a chance to go into the fourth round if they get the victory. So they're probably not as bad as we thought, all jokes aside. But again, Liverpool take on Southampton there, and we'll obviously keep eyes on that result. I'm assuming that their squad is going to be very rotated, and there'll be some different players playing, and maybe Wirtz has a chance to make it 1-1 and 8 or 008, even that'll be pretty hilarious.
Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it. Alrighty, we'll move on to a Huddle Within first. The Formula One. We haven't spoke about the Formula One on the podcast. We're going to jump on that. We had the Baku Grand Prix located in Azerbaijan. And for someone that is, quite frankly, a very casual Formula One fan, this is probably my favorite circuit. And why I like this circuit is because of what we saw in qualifying with a bunch of red flags there. You had Oscar Piastri, you had, I'm pretty sure, Charles Leclerc, lots of crashes in this, and Hulkenberg as well, but still managed to race. And yeah, just a great track. I really do like this track. And Verstappen takes pole, and we had the race after qualifying, and Verstappen gets the victory as well. Poor Oscar Piastri crashed. He was out the race, but he only lost 6 points in this, as Lando Norris did finish 7th. So for us Aussies, we're really rooting for Oscar Piastri to win the Drivers' Championship, and he's looking in good nick. Unless Verstappen decides to have a miraculous comeback. He's won his last few races. He's on fire. He's an unbelievable driver as well, I have to say. Red Bull not looking good in terms of the car, but Verstappen just continuing to just show how good he is. But the most surprising things were Carlos Sainz finishing 3rd. He gets a podium for Williams, and that's probably one of his biggest achievements. You could tell he was really happy for that one. And Liam Lawson finishing in 5th place, which is also a nice, respectable result as well. So Verstappen taking out the Grand Prix. You have in the Drivers' Championships, Oscar Piastri, I think, still up by around 20-odd points. So it's going to be a tight race to the finish. Verstappen might have something to say, but we're hoping that Oscar Piastri wins this one. In terms of the constructors, McLaren are just dominating. Like, no one is near them. I think the next best team is Mercedes from memory. And yeah, simply no one's near it. Next year might be more competitive, but McLaren just dominating on the constructors front. And Red Bull are really struggling. But the team that's proper struggling is Alpine. They are last. And that is not good. For a team that is very passionate, they have their own sort of engine as well with Renault. And they are a French brand and very, very patriotic when it comes to their sort of branding and their team. It's a shame to see them at 10th place, especially when you have teams like Kick Sauber, who are terrible, and even like Haas, and you can even talk about the Racing Bulls, who are the second Red Bull team doing better. It's a bit of a shame. You'd think that Alpine would be at least a top 6 constructor. They're not. So that's a shame. I think we're looking forward to the Singapore Grand Prix next week, and that's going to be interesting. That's another street circuit. I've had the chance to look at it before as I traveled to Singapore. But yeah, that's the next race coming up, and that'll be perfect for us Aussies. 2-hour time difference from Singapore, so we'll be able to watch that in an early time. And that's pretty much the NFL, the Formula One news sort of capped up there. Once we get into the next stuff, and that is NFL. NFL, we've hit week 3, and I just lost my first fantasy game to TJ. He is the champion. TJ was on the podcast, obviously, a few weeks back when we did the NFL season preview, and he got my number again. That guy always manages to beat me. I don't know how, but I lose. And another team that lost, and lost pretty badly, was my New Orleans Saints. Like, fucking joke. They suck. Like, I was keen to watch NFL this year. I knew that the Saints would struggle, but just seeing that result, and I did wake up early for it. It was like a 4 a.m. NFL game, and for those that try to wake up and watch NFL at 4, with all the ads and stuff, it's virtually impossible, especially for me that loves to just fall asleep with the TV on. Impossible game to watch. But I did wake up at like 6.5 to check the score, and I did see that we were down 38-3. Had a look at the highlights the next day. We ended up losing the game. I'm pretty sure it was like 44-6. Like, fucking embarrassing. Like, how can you give up 44-13? Like, we salvaged something, but they were 38-6 at halftime. Like, they could have easily got 70 on us. Like, that's crazy. The touchdowns we conceded were pretty fucked as well. We had a punt return, 90-yard fucking run, and then even a missed field goal attempt that really costed us as well. But Seattle dominated us there, and Sam Darnold looking pretty good with his new team. He's
especially coming from the Vikings. And yeah, the Saints are in trouble. Like, TJ and Kenny did say that Alvin Kamara might get traded. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that could be a conversation that could happen. And yeah, we're just struggling at the moment. I have no words. I hope we get Arch Manning next year, future quarterback. We do need a franchise quarterback. Will Keelan Moore, which is our coach, make the call on switching Rattler out for Tyler Show and giving him a run? I don't think that is the issue, but it's definitely something that they can use to try get a reaction from the team as well. So yeah, they're struggling. Another team that struggled in an NFC South conference match, our rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, getting smacked up by the Panthers 30-0. 30-0. Do you know how bad the Panthers have been for so long? Do you know how good Atlanta Falcons were supposed to be this year? They got absolutely spanked. And yeah, I'm beyond shocked with that result. I thought that Atlanta Falcons were a penciled in team to get out of the NFC South and make a playoff spot, but it looks as though the Buccaneers are firing and they might get it. As they're 3-0. Baker Mayfield looking like an early MVP at the moment. But yeah, back to the Falcons, like 30-0 is just crazy. Like that's a massive result for the Panthers as well. That might get their season going with good momentum. The Buccaneers take on the Jets and they win. You thought that the Jets were going to win this game. They blocked a punt and then turned it over for a touchdown. But the Buccaneers win on a field goal. That's going to piss TJ and a lot of my friends that are Jets fans off. And another team that is a joke of a franchise is the Dallas Cowboys. They get smacked up by the Chicago Bears. And for anyone that knows about NFL or even the Dallas Cowboys is the number one franchise in the world in terms of, I think, revenue and popularity. And they're shit. They're like Carlton of the AFL. They're delusional. Everyone thinks they're like the best, but they're shit. And I'm glad they lost. They remind me of the Lakers as well. So it's just a great feeling to see the Cowboys lose, even though I have no affiliations with the city or the team. You never like a team that's just the best in terms of what everyone says. And calling them America's team is already cringe enough. So the Bears smack up the Cowboys. Caleb Williams had a good game. That wasn't good for me because TJ did have Caleb Williams in his fantasy. But again, they make quick work there. Another team that I want to talk about is the Indianapolis Colts. They get another victory as well. They smack up the Titans. The Titans are obviously young with Cam Ward and rebuilding, but the Colts are looking like a very good team and under-the-radar team this year. You talk about underrated so far. The Colts have been probably the most underrated team and are killing it at the moment. Daniel Jones feels rejuvenated. They cut him off at the New York Giants. They struggled last year. It turns out he really wasn't the problem because he's thriving at the Colts. And it might be just a 3-game early span, but watch out for the Colts. I think for anyone that is getting into the NFL, doesn't know much about them, I think they're probably the most exciting team to watch given that they're sort of that underdog team. So look out for the Indianapolis Colts. They're on fire at the moment. All right, we've got some quick NBA to wrap up. The only thing that is happening at the NBA at the moment is quite quiet, but there is this lurking Jonathan Kuminga situation. Actually, I just got some news this morning, and it just came to my head that unfortunately, and it's so sad to see that Fred VanVleet has tore his ACL and will be out for the whole season, and that is a big blow for the Rockets. That is actually something that is going to be considered a big damp in their potential championship aspirations, especially getting Kevin Durant and having the offseason that they have. Go check out the Western Conference offseason sort of shakedown that me and Nathan did. Shout out to him. The Rockets are going to not be as good, I think, without Fred VanVleet. He is a stabilizing point guard for them. And now that they've lost Jalen Green, they don't really have any guards. So this is going to be, interesting now. They can still, I think, make a top 4 seed, but no VanVleet affects a lot of things for the Houston Rockets. So, I don't know. You thought that they were going to be a guaranteed top 2 seed, whether they win the championship or not. That would have been another question. But now I think it's really hard for me to suggest that they will win, especially if Fred VanVleet's going to be out for the whole season. And I'm surprised he will be. I thought ACLs were normally for athletes 6 months, but turns out no. So they're going to lose VanVleet. In terms of Kuminga, he's held hostage at the Golden State Warriors. Can they just trade him? Like, there's no point of having him there. His value is already diminished given that he wants to leave and that Golden State are holding him hostile. He's not going to play. He's not going to start. I understand where he's coming from. I'm not one to back players up when they force a move out, but in this case, he's not going to play. And if he plays, he's going to be off the bench and he's going to occasionally come in if anyone's injured. But he is getting held hostage at the Golden State Warriors. If he goes to another team, watch his career change and him be a much better player. Like, he needs a fresh start. He needs to go. And it's been so publicized that he wants to leave. And now it's just what everyone is talking about on ESPN and mainstream media. So I think he's got to go. And I think that we see a trade 3 weeks into the season. It only makes sense. I know he's not a star player, but he's probably the biggest high profile player at the moment that wants to leave. And yeah, I think it'll be best for his career. I think it'll be best for the Golden State Warriors. But they just have to sit there and accept that they're not going to get much in on that one because of probably what's been happening with this saga. But it's something to look out for. That's probably the biggest news in the NBA right now. It does start in just over a month. So that's going to be really exciting, and I'm keen for that to start. NBA is always amazing. My Wizards going to be rebuilding once again, but it's excited to see the young talent come in, especially with an East that is very, very open. So let's have a look. Let's have a suss. Very exciting times ahead for sport as well as AFL wraps up. We've still got a plethora of sports to follow as well anyway. And finally, we'll do a final wrap up of WWE just to cap it up for you guys. And this is where most of you might just jump off the pod and not listen here. But we just had a Wrestlepalooza finish up, and I did my review on the WWE podcast. You can check it out. So I'm not going to dive into it too much, but all I will say is that it got hyped up so much as being a debut PLE partnership with ESPN and all this jazz. And you expected surprises. You expected like something big to happen, and that just didn't happen. And quite disappointing. And my issue, and I did say it on the podcast, it's not the fact that Triple H has become, and for those that don't know, Triple H is like in charge of sort of creative and like he's overseeing everything that's happening in WWE at the moment. He's becoming a corporate cunt. I don't know how else to say it. Like, he's just buying in all these deals and just, I don't even know. Like, he's just, honestly, yeah, he's just buying into that. Like, WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, the ESPN stuff, the fact that he's overhyping it. You've got Slim Jim tables, so tables have sponsorships on them. You've got a segment where Hulk Hogan is beers getting promoted. RIP to Hulk Hogan, but his beers getting promoted. Like, you have the freaking commentators, Michael Cole, saying cheers to a beer that he probably didn't even drink. Like, just shit like that it just annoys me. It's like, why would you have so much sponsorship and milk everything? And the reason is obviously because of money. Yes, we know that. But like, if it doesn't live up to the expectation, then why are you overhyping it? And that's exactly what happened with Wrestlepalooza. But nevertheless, we'll give a quick update for you guys. John Cena and Brock Lesnar took each other on, and he got absolutely spanked, John Cena. Brock Lesnar gave like 7 F5s, which is his finishing move, to John Cena. Destroyed the shit out of him. The match went for like 5 minutes, and a lot of kids were crying in the stands, but I think that's what they wanted. They wanted to show that Brock Lesnar was strong on his return back to WWE. You had the Usos losing to the Vision. The Vision is kind of like the Evolution for those that are not tying into the WWE now. They're the modern day sort of Batista and Randy Orton's, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And Seth Rollins is kind of like Triple H, and you got Paul Heyman, it's kind of like Ric Flair. So they've got this sort of modern day evolution, which is called the Vision. They're a new faction in the WWE, and they just beat the Usos. We had Jey Uso, and for those that, again, don't watch WWE, there was a lot of blood. So that's something that they've brought back, and Jey Uso was proper bleeding, and hopefully he is okay, because it did look pretty dangerous. When he hit Bron Breakker with the chair ricocheted, hit his head. I think he's in the concussion protocol, so that's something to look out for those that do watch. And then we had Stephanie Vaquer taking on Io Sky, and two of probably the best women's wrestlers on the roster at the moment. You had Stephanie Vaquer taking on Io Sky and winning the Women's World Champion. She is now the Women's World Champion, and if you are not a fan of Stephanie Vaquer, you don't know who she is, just go on YouTube and type in Stephanie Vaquer Devil's Kiss, and yeah, crazy move. That's all I'm going to say. That's probably what got her famous in WWE, and I'm sure that it's probably popped up in your reels or your TikToks for sure. And then we had AJ Lee and CM Punk.
AJ Lee and CM Punk are the guys that are the power couple. It's been 10 years since they've been in the ring together, and it's been 10 years since AJ Lee came back, and before that, Punk had a 10-year hiatus as well from WWE. They defeat Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. That was a pretty cool match. It was great to see AJ Lee back in the ring. She was looking amazing as ever. She actually submitted Becky Lynch with the Black Widow, which is her finishing move. And yeah, they get the victory there. So keep an eye out for that storyline. And finally, we had the main event, which was probably one of the most underwhelming main events. Cody Rhodes, who is the WWE champion at the moment. Yes, Cody Rhodes. 10 years ago, if I told you that Cody Rhodes would be the franchise WWE guy, the main guy, the modern day John Cena, the modern day Hulk Hogan, people would laugh at me. And yes, he is the quarterback, the self-proclaimed quarterback of the of the WWE at the moment. And he defeats Drew McIntyre in a match that was just a standard match, quite boring and quite disappointing. Stephanie McMahon gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is probably the only apparent surprise that Triple H had. But yeah, it was just a very underwhelming Wrestlepalooza. Hopefully, it's better in Crown Jewel. Obviously, that's going to be in Australia and Perth. Got a marathon, so I can't go to that, very shattered, but they are doing a house show in Melbourne, which I will attend. Crown Jewel will be amazing, though, because you're going to have champion versus champion. So the champion on Raw versus champion on SmackDown. So you have Cody Rhodes, who's currently the WWE champion, and Seth Rollins, who's currently the World Heavyweight Champion, fighting out for the Crown Jewel Championship. They get a ring, and it just determines who the best champion is. They do it every year for Crown Jewel. I thought it was just going to be a Saudi Arabian thing, but it turns out it's going to be in Australia too. So that will be the men's side. And then you've got Stephanie Vacour, who's the new Women's World Champion, who will most likely take on Tiffany Stratton, who currently is the WWE Champion Women's Champion on SmackDown as well. So that is probably the card to highlight. John Cena's coming, so if you have a chance to watch John Cena for the last time, that's going to be amazing. Look out for his t-shirt. I do want to get that as well. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up WWE. And I think I've got nothing else for you in terms of sport news. So thank you. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within. I hope you do enjoy the latest and greatest sporting news right now, stepping into the huddle and uncovering all that. If there's anything else you want me to cover or you do like, again, please feel free to leave a comment below. As this podcast grows, your opinion and your contribution definitely matters to that. So again, once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week. Cheers. So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.